Greetings, Mark Garang here, publisher of the Conway Daily Sun, and you can see my special guests are Chris Prioux over there, Executive Director of the Chamber, and Paul Durfee, who's the President of the Chamber.
Thank you, Mark.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having us. This is always fun.
Good.
Yeah,
So we're here to talk about the New Year's celebration. Excuse me.
Salivation over the celebration.
I'm going to salivating over the celebration, and it's called North Conway's New Year's Night Out.
Yep.
Take it away.
You want me to start, Paul?
Go for it.
All right. Well, so we've had fireworks for several years, as I think we're going to talk about later. North Conway has a history with some really, really fun, really creative ideas on New Year's Eve. The last several years, we've had fireworks, but not much context around them. They were shooting off at 9:30. People would most of the businesses were closed around that time, so people would just show up, watch fireworks, go home. Those fireworks, even though the town shoots them off, are funded by donations to the North Conway Village Association.
Now, the Village Association is part of the Chamber?
It's basically a fund that is managed by the Chamber. So local businesses in North Conway Village pay a donation, and we collect those, and it goes into a fund that basically pays for village beautification projects. So the flower planters you see on the sidewalks in the summer, and then we're trying to expand that. That's basically all it's paid for in the last several years, but we're trying to expand that to include more events and beefing up some of the events like the fireworks.
Yeah, I believe it used to be its own 501c3, but now we're kind of an arm of the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. And then, so talk about the how you got all this together for the New Year's celebration.
Well, I think Chris, I, and the North Conway Village Association decided that like the New Year's Eve in America's #1 ski town needed to be like America's #1 New Year's Eve place to be.
There we go.
So we, you know, I don't want to steal your words from a meeting we've had recently, but you know, Chris and I have kind of identified this event as, it's not necessarily a big event on its own, but it is a collection of what makes North Conway so unique and great, and putting that all in together into one kind of like all experience opportunity. So we're going to have, you know, live music at Saco River Brewing. There's going to be family activities at the North Conway Community Center. There's going to be what we're kind of calling a poster passport opportunity, where you're going to go around to all of the opening and participating businesses of the North Conway Village Association and scan a code on each of those posters. And every scan that you get is an entry into the grand raffle that we're going to host at 8:30 at night at the North Conway Community Center. Add in that Conway Scenic has an awesome train schedule for New Year's Eve. They're going to have an 8 p.m. departure in North Conway Village, go south towards Conway, and then come back for the 9 p.m. fireworks. And then, you think that that'd be enough, that'd be like the top of the night. Then they're going to depart and go north to Crawford Notch and come back to Conway Village for midnight. So you're going to have a midnight, you know, North Conway Village.
Have they ever
New Year's Eve
gone
train.
in the evening, at night, to Crawford Notch?
I don't think so. I think this is probably a first of its kind. If not, it's definitely at the Conway Scenic, but I don't know too many trains that have like literal party trains, you know, into the new year. They've wanted to like experiment with hosting some sort of gala train, and this was a great opportunity. And honestly, David Swerk and the Conway Scenic Railroad, they were the engine behind this, no pun intended, because we had actually, Mike Lane of Conway Parks and Rec had actually gone to the select board and said, you know, we're not going to do fireworks this year because we had a hard time raising, you know, the money to fund the fireworks last year. And basically seconds after that commitment was made to the select board, David Swerk said, how can we make this happen? And I said, well, you know, we basically need this much money to fund the fireworks. He's like, oh, I'll do half of it. So once he did that, I was like, we can get the other half, and then we got the village businesses excited about participating. And as Paul said, this isn't an event where like, okay, we got to create something to get people in North Conway Village. North Conway is the #1 ski town. We already have these great businesses. This is about collaboration and about celebrating them together. And so everybody's doing something a little bit special. We've convinced a lot of people to stay open later, so they're open till 9, so there are things to do. Again, North Conway Community Center stepped up so kids have a warm place to play and do things up until the fireworks.
So during the day, so you're going to be, so it's really a day-long evening-long event, right? I mean,
Yep.
people.
Yeah, people are encouraged to go through the businesses all day long, so long as they are open, of course. So, some businesses are not going to be able to be open until 9 p.m. at night on New Year's Eve, but they'll be open during the daytime. So that's the opportunity to get in there and get their scan in and visit, find a special, find something to purchase or consume. So, again, it's another reason why North Conway Special
And
is so
you're
diverse.
kind of dovetailing it with the fireworks at Cranmore, right? Because the
Yeah.
fireworks at Cranmore are 6:30.
Yeah.
So for the early birds, you get like an early show and a late show for fireworks in North Conway.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I think there are 5 different mountains in the Mount Washington Valley that have fireworks on New Year's Eve, Mark. Isn't that crazy?
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was Cranmore, Black Mountain, Bretton Woods, and I think I'd heard King Pine as
I'm
well.
pretty sure has fireworks.
Yeah.
in
So,
the evening, so.
I mean, well, that's 5 fireworks shows within a 30-minute drive.
It's going to be hard to get them all.
Well, yeah, I think a lot
Get
of
it
them are
too.
going off at the
Yeah.
same time. Yeah.
And can you say what your budget is? I know there's a lot of in-kind contributions. I mean, does it matter what the budget is? What?
Yeah, well, there is no budget for the event other than the fireworks. The fireworks is basically a $10,000 fireworks show that we've gotten paid for through generous sponsorships and donations from area business, including the Conway Daily Sun, who is helping us out by helping promote this event.
thank you.
So that goes a long way. And inviting us here, thank you very much. So that's basically the budget. We need to get the fireworks funded. The rest of it is basically the business stepping up, offering specials and things to promote, and the Chamber of Commerce doing what it does to try to help that collaboration come together and promote it in the ways that we can. So
Talk about, Paul, I mean, you work with Alec Tarberry and you guys own property, a lot of property in North Conway Village, but talk about how the village has changed. I mean, it really is, after all these years dynamically, and I'm way older than you guys, so I remember the old school, but I mean, we got the Cheese Louise, those restaurants there.
Yeah.
David Swark, who's like gangbusters doing everything. And, there's a lot of change in the village. I mean, I guess it's sort of like, and then there's some new restaurants coming. The Old Hooligans is going to be a noodle shop, I guess. And, it's kind of, it's very exciting. Like, how do you characterize that? Are we becoming cool now?
I know. I'd like to say we're coming alive. Yeah.
Okay, not cool.
We want to balance 2 different things with North Conway Village. One is its kind of antique charm, the Norman Rockwellian charm that a lot of people kind of refer to it.
Yeah.
And then also bring some nightlife to it and make it come alive at night. And I think a lot of the businesses that we've helped partner, or we partnered with or brought into specifically Norcross Place have helped with that. But still, Chef's Bistro has become a nighttime location. We have driven a big initiative this winter to light up the village, and I don't know if you guys have driven through. I was just there last night. The amount of Christmas lights that are through the village that haven't really been there in the past. We're really trying to...
I mean, on individual businesses?
Individual businesses, yeah, from the Eastern Slope Inn all the way up to or down to the Chamber. I mean, there's a heck of a lot of businesses that are coming alive at night these days.
What about putting lights on the telephone poles? I mean, it's always been, I can remember the days when, when there were skis on the telephone poles that said Cranmore, and I think somehow because it was attributed to be commercial, they were taken down. But what about that? I mean, and the lights in Shula Park on all the trees, they're not all full of lights like they used to be.
Yeah, that's something we're working with Mike Lane and the town on, and they've been awesome partners about communicating their intent and their hopes with us as well. Unfortunately, a lot of the trees had to get cut down a couple months ago because of just they had not survived. Yeah, they were dying dead. And I think our long-term plan is to bring more lighting to those trees, but it was kind of a hiccup this year to have to cut a bunch down just because of their condition.
And what about the telephone poles? I mean, how does that even work? I was in, because we have a paper, we could run the paper in Bridgeton, the Bridgeton News now, and I was in Bridgeton a couple nights ago, and Bridgeton downtown is kind of cool because it has a S curve, right? I mean, we can't do anything about that. We have a charming village, but there's no S curve in it. But they got lights everywhere on the telephone poles.
I think that is something that we're looking into. We have talked to Mike about kind of enhancing the overall appeal and charm of North Conway Village. We envision we've been voted the #1 ski town in America. We should have flags on the side of the roads that say "Welcome to the #1 ski town." So that's something that's in the works. Money is always an issue right now. There's nobody that has a budget for it. The town itself is on a default budget because of the way it's been voted. Unfortunately, one of the requirements for doing something like that is no sponsorships on the flag. So if we're going to raise money for it, it's going to be, we're going to have to recognize those sponsors in a different way rather than directly on the flags. But that is something that we've talked about as a chamber, gathering together some of the businesses in the valley for marketing ideas. That was definitely one of them.
Is it just a money issue in terms of that, or what about, is there any considerations with the state and the telephone poles?
As long as we get the approval, I believe, of Eversource, who manages those poles, and I think Mike basically said, I don't remember if he had talked to them, but he didn't see a barrier. I know we have the green overhanging lights right now from the poles, which make it a little bit more difficult to, I think, to place certain things because they have to be a certain height. But I think we should be able to do it with the approval process.
Yeah, good. All right, why don't we, Rob, we have a picture of the posters, or two posters actually. So there's one, and then what's the idea with the QR code in the middle?
That one, I think that's just our promotional poster. So you'll see these around the village by the time you see this interview, hopefully.
That QR code sends you to the event webpage.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It'll give you more information. On the event website, we have a whole landing page that has a list of all the participating businesses. So if you want to know who's open, what times, you can get that. All the specials they're offering. There's everything from, like, Cheese Louise is having a Golden Gouda Gala
Right.
event. Different places, we mentioned the North County Community Center has kids activities. Different retail shops have sales, live music throughout the afternoon and evening at Saco River Brewing. So if you want the M&D Playhouse is offering a movie in the evening with free popcorn. So if you want that schedule and find things to do, and it's all about exploring, do them all, because the more you do, the more posters you'll find. Each one is unique in its QR code. You scan it, you get that other entry, and now you're entered into the prize drawing. So I think we have like 20 participating businesses. Is it 25? I think it might be 25 participating businesses.
So so you're saying that each poster has a different QR code?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to, okay, that's a pretty big deal. So you got to go to all the businesses.
You could get 25 entries, and then the prizes. Do you want me to run off some of these prizes, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Can I enter? Because, I'll win.
Well, that's the thing.
You two have a habit of doing that.
For those who don't know, Mark Arang is probably the winningest person ever at the Chamber After Hours. We do door prizes, and it's inevitable that Mark has his name drawn.
It is amazing.
And
your consistency of showing up has been a huge proponent of that. Yeah.
Like some of the prizes you could win, right? We have lift tickets and/or tubing passes from Cranmore Mountain. Eastern Slope Inn has donated a 2-night stay. Flatbread Company, $100 gift card. Frontside Coffee Roasters. International Mountain Climbing School has offered an experience, so you can go ice climbing with them. Gift certificates from the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen. It's my girlfriend's consignment boutique. M&D Playhouse has 2 tickets. Muddy Moose has gift cards. New England Ski Museum. North County Community Center, Poppy and Vale, Saco River Tap House, Sacred Wellness, Vito Marcello's, White Birch Books, Zeb's General Store has donated $500 gift baskets. So there's a ton of prizes to be had. And at 8:30 at the North County Community Center, we might have to start it a little bit early. The raffle ends, or the entry ends at 8. And by 8:30, we're going to start announcing winners at the North Conway Community Center. And then we'll head out to the fireworks with our glow sticks.
Yeah, which we're going to see at the end. We're going to fade out with this fade out. So that'll be good.
What's wild about all of those is that you could argue that sounds like a collection of things to do over an extremely long weekend. And they all exist within a quarter-mile strip of land in North Conway Village.
And that's why we're America's #1 ski town. There's no place in the country where we have this variety, this density, this amount of things to do. It's such a drivable distance, and you don't have to fly 3 hours to get here from Boston and other places. You're a 2.5 hour drive, and so much to do.
Yeah. How about the other poster?
There it is. So that's what you'll find at the businesses to scan for your prize.
Right. And then did we look at the other one? Yeah. No. Okay. So if you can go back to the poster for 1 second, Rob. Thank you. So, Chris, I guess you're becoming a graphic designer.
Yes, with the assistance of some modern tools. So this is actually an AI generated poster. It's an image, obviously, of North Conway Village with Cranmore in the background and the Conway Scenic. For anybody who was confused and thought this was actually a photo, it's not. The Conway Scenic does not run directly through North Conway Village like that. But this was used with prompts basically with this was used with Gemini. Google's Gemini AI assistant made this. It actually took longer than you might expect trying to get it just right, but entering photos of the different things and said, okay, use these to make the poster. Here's how we would like it to look. So yeah, it's. I think AI is a discussion, right? It's something that is at the front of everyone's mind. It's affecting us all in some way. There was some consideration. Kathy Bennett. She's our PR person, and she rightly predicted there might be a little bit of blowback from this. One of the things that's important to the chamber, there's two things, right?
Yeah. We
believe in our local businesses. We're not trying to put take away business from anybody by using an AI. That's for sure. In this case, we were trying to create an event poster, as I mentioned before, on zero budget. Some people think we're selling these posters. We're not selling these posters for profit. We would never sell an AI-generated thing.
Can you do that
as a profit?
I don't think there's no reason why you couldn't.
No, but I think for me that's a little bit hollow. Like that's
crossing the line.
It's tough because even in, like, let's say you're a designer, half the tools you use as a designer now are AI tools. When I'm a photographer, I love to take photography. When I edit a photo, I'm using an AI remove tool to remove lint off of a shirt or something like that. So there's a line, I guess, below which maybe something's accepted, above which it's not. But that line is always moving, and it's going to continue to move. So I think this is an ongoing discussion. One of the things that has come out of it is, I think, the chamber looking forward to maybe this event next year, but especially towards our expo for the spring. We'd like to work with the graphics class, the marketing class at Kennett High School to get them involved in it. In this specific case, the timetable was just really short. There was no budget. We gave it a try. People really responded positively, like, "Oh my God, that's so beautiful." And then, there were some in the graphic design world who were like, "This is cheating."
Yeah, well, anybody in the creative and in the newspaper is the same thing. I mean, it's just changing everything. I mean, it's just like, hey, nobody's not using calculators. Yep. I mean, it's a tool.
And I think this is going to be one of the big topics at our next business expo coming up in April at Cranmore, because it's, I haven't seen a technology that's just evolved so fast and is becoming just so much an everyday part of life. So it's how to navigate that. And again, there is a line. We're never going to use AI-generated photos or anything like that. I recently was doing some marketing on Facebook, and you upload your ad. Well, almost by default now, Facebook Meta wants to say, we'll make iterative versions of this when we think it's going to help your performance. And you see the iterative versions, and they'll take a person from the photo that you uploaded, and they'll make a whole new scene. So like, we uploaded a skier on a mountain. Well, now they made another version where the skier's closer up with a smile, like using the same face, but it's a whole different expression, looks like the person, it's like photorealistic, but the background is definitely like the Rockies or something like that.
Okay, this is funny. I got to interject here because an AI, this is our world too. In the paper. So there's two little stories. One is that I do the letters and columns. So, and we don't use AI to help us write stories. We still do that the old-fashioned way. But for the letters, right, people just write in, and we have our style, AP style. Like PM, it's 9 p.m., P period, M period. Yeah. So, if you're copying that, it's just all this tedious stuff, because when people write in, they don't know. So I do the letters, and I run them through AI now. Nobody's ever complained. And they come out clean. Yep. All that stuff is fixed. The syntax is a little bit better. Yeah. And Rob, so we do have our North Conway magazine, which is coming out next week for Christmas, and and we have a photo by Joe Vigie actually. But Rob's screwing around, and he made a cover, same thing. And there it is. There's you look at it. There's people standing around like a little fire. A nice little family. There's a mountain in the back. There's a skier, a slope in the background. There's a mountain in the background, and it looks good, except what doesn't match up? Oh yeah, the mountain looks like it's from the Rockies, and that kind of stuff. So it's coming, but it's pretty exciting. Yeah, and as a destination marketing organization, you want to remain authentic. Like, we're not
we're portraying this town in this valley authentically. We don't want to get away from that. So we will never be using AI generated photos or anything like that. But for this case, it was kind of a light illustration, and
I don't think you have to apologize, Chris.
captured
You're
the spirit.
okay.
But I think there are people. I'm not apologizing so much as just like explaining the process, because that's what gets lost in, the Nick Newses of the world and things like that. Is context around things, and always reach out to us directly, because I am happy to talk to people if there's anything the chamber can be doing better.
And in that case, not to defend that, but in this case, it doesn't look like a photo. It looks like an illustration.
Yeah. It's
and it's obvious. So it's good.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So-
I would like to say I uploaded all the photos, and it's my artistry in a way. I
Yeah,
told it
we
what
didn't
to
take-
do.
you did not take
And I
anybody else's
yelled at it
artistry,
over
right?
and over when it did it wrong. So
Yeah. All right. So I just want to.
not 100%
Just a little bit of a nod to the old, and I was involved with that, and some people remember the old First Night from 20 years ago. And we did a similar thing. And Rob, if you have a couple of those photos, and it was started actually by, I think the first one was Carla Ficker who started, and then Cindy Russell became the executive director, Tony Simone, and I think that's from, this might have been a recent one, but Tony Simone was the chairman of it. And it was called, because remember this is the early 2000s, and remember there was this whole First Night thing about no alcohol. And it was kind of like the way the Polar Express had to change their name. We had to.
Yeah,
First
For somebody
Night was a
copyrighted
licensed,
First Night became a business, and so I think we turned it to the New Year's Eve celebration.
kind of like the big game that the NFL plays. You're not allowed to say it on the air.
No kidding.
Yeah. The SB.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a nice. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and it's just really nice to see a new generation to do it. Now we had the burning. The one thing you guys were talking about before the air about having some small fires somewhere or doing something like that. We had the burning of the greens, and we did it for years until former town manager Earl Sires went one year, and he said, of course, the burning of the greens. Who was monitoring the burning of the greens? The firemen, 100 feet away, right? Yep. And he says, it's too dangerous, sparks are flying, so that was the end of that. But I think the problem with now is since they redid the Shula Park grounds and all that, they just don't want, you burn a couple hundred Christmas trees, you end up with wire and all that stuff.
Yeah, we actually talked to Chief McCarthy about that, and I know one of the huge aggravations was that people started putting wood pallets in there, so it ended up with nails in the Shula Park, which is not what you want to find when you're playing Little League the next 6 months later. So so I understand that completely.
Yeah. So, but you were talking about maybe not for this year, but you thinking about doing something.
I think there's more collaboration to be done with the town and the fire department. Once we have kind of this off the ground, we can evolve it more. Obviously, Chief McCarthy is the one who gets to decide those things. But one of my thoughts was maybe possibly we have like little fire rings where kids can do s'mores, something that's very manageable, safe, and the fire department can be involved. But that is. He's hearing of that first on this show.
I think we're excited to show the town that we can host an organized and safe event this winter and work with them in the future for more fun, more grandeur. So.
Yeah, that's good. All you need is the good weather. That's always the issue.
Hopefully we're, as we're recording this, we're getting the rainstorm, and hopefully that's all we get for the season.
Yeah. I know when we did it back then, and I was involved, I was on the board for years, and we had a little parade and all that stuff, and total crapshoot. I mean, some nights it would be like this, and everybody's happy, and then another night it's like 20 below and 20 mile an hour.
Yeah.
winds.
Well, and I remember covering one of those old ball drops in North Conway Village,
Really?
the old the First Night events. Are we allowed to say that? And it was there was like a stage in the middle of the park, and there was live music. Yeah. But one of the years we covered it live with the TV station. Back when it was like Adelphia Cable, I think, we were able to cover it live from the park on cable TV, and it was a monsoon. Like it just poured the whole night, like a cold driving rain, and there was no one around, just this band trying to stay warm in the middle of the park. And we had a little tent with our video equipment underneath, and at one point the thing just gave way and water poured into the audio mixer, and that might have been one of the last ones.
Yeah, you can understand why that might bring that event to a halt.
That reminds me of that. I think it was that night because Carolyn Brown and we had our headquarters over in the golf course and clubhouse there, and she, just a lot of great volunteers. But we had the fireworks, and the fireworks are set off, down and back of the Mud Bowl, and that night I can remember being out there at 1 o'clock with about, a squad of guys because they got stuck down there. It was all mud. They couldn't get the trucks out. It was, it's one of those. Great, I'm too old for this stuff. Here I am pushing in the mud at 1 o'clock in the.
Yep.
All right, can we switch gears a little bit? So what else can we say? We're gonna sign off with this, but. Just talk about anything else about the.
Well,
go ahead,
I'd probably
Paul.
go back to the train comment they made about have they ever had nighttime runs through that area, and I would like to be very transparent and talk to all the residents of Hart's location in Glen and Bartlett and say, please don't be aggravated or terrified by the noise that you hear in your backyard on New Year's Eve. Because I think it's going to be a disco train coming to town. So
when you say disco train,
I don't know. You're just kidding. They have live music.
It's not going
to be outside the train.
Have live music, food, and beverages on the train. So it's supposed to be celebratory and festive and revelry. I don't know what the exact music is, but I'm envisioning like.
And it's going to Crawford Notch.
That was their
plan. That direction. I don't know if it's all the way, but I know it's in that direction.
That's a haul.
Yeah. Because they were planning on returning just after midnight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. That'd be special for sure. Hey, can we move on and talk about the chamber in general a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Here we are at the end of the year. Paul, I mean, here we are talking about North Conway, obviously, because it's the big event, but the chamber represents the valley. It's the Mount Washington Valley Chamber. So speak to the inclusion of other towns. How does that work?
Well, one thing that does come to mind is though North Conway is America's #1 ski town. But, when I grew up, I'm not from the Mount Washington Valley, I'm from Laconia. And when I was a kid, my definition of North Conway, and now that I see this area, it was probably everything from Madison all the way up to Crawford Notch, to be honest.
Right.
So I think that's not unique to me. I think that a lot of our guests also feel that way. So North Conway being the #1 ski town is kind of a representation of valley. It's not just North Conway. So I do want to make that transparent and part of how my explanation for this is going to be. But, it is beyond just that. We're working really hard to put together an inclusive chamber that represents all the businesses from, the border towns. We have even members outside of the Mount Washington Valley, but, our focus is everywhere from, remind me, is it Sandwich all the way up to Jefferson in that area?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if it touches Mount Washington, Bretton Woods,
if you can see it in any way, shape, or form.
Gorham, Pinkham Notch, Crawford Notch.
Yeah. So, Chris just came on board 12?
Well,
your
1
year
year ago,
anniversary.
almost to the day. Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I did it.
Really?
For now.
Yeah.
And his team and he have had a huge reach out to our members and non-members and had a great pull to bring on some really unique new members to the chamber. And I guess where I'm going with this is I just feel like we have a really great future with the chamber, both from our membership base, but also some of the initiatives that we're trying to drive.
It's an interesting, and this is my cynical journalism coming out here, but it's an interesting thing about the names between Mount Washington Valley and North Conway. Yeah. Like when we started our magazine, we said, well, let's do it to Mount Washington Valley. Yep. And we said, no, because if you go to Boston, you know this. If you go to Boston, you ask 10 people, what's up here? They'll say North Conway and then Jackson maybe 2. Yep. Mount Washington Valley, as you know, it's a marketing name.
Yep. Yeah.
So how do you, or do you think about what do you put first? You put North Conway, because if you put North Conway first, you're going to upset all the surrounding towns.
Yeah, and we wouldn't intend to do that, of course, but it's mostly just out of getting clicks on the website for something like that. But
from a marketing standpoint, it's definitely a challenge. I even before I joined the chamber in this capacity, I was making TV ads for them for the Boston market, and over the years, the strategy has changed, gone back from skimwv.com to skinorthconway.com, and what's going to resonate most. And right now, we're using Mount Washington Valley as much as possible because it's more representative of what we're representing, of who we are. But at the same time, when you have North Conway as your anchor and as the #1 ski town, you want to emphasize that that is your draw as much as possible. Yeah. So it is balanced, and it's tricky sometimes.
Yeah. You mentioned like North Conway's has with the Cheese Louise guys and all that, and the is that it's reinvigorating a nightlife, put it that way. So the chamber, I mean the North Conway, like in the old Mountaineer days and Ben Williams and those in the 70s and 80s, it was really like a baby boomer drunk fest. basically. You know, it was that.
We've heard stories, Mark.
Yeah, you've heard stories.
There was what was the Alpine Lodge? That was the place next to Cranmore?
If only social media were live back then, we'd have all these.
Yeah, you know, the Alpine down here, right now they're $1.5 million condos, but where the Alpine is, and Ox and Yoke and any brothers. Anyway, us oldies know all that stuff. But then it was a concerted effort, and I always think part of it was due to the police, because they started, you know, clamping down on DWIs and drinking, which is a good thing. But I think there was a concerted effort by the chamber to be a family resort, right? So where's that mission? And it's not, they don't conflict with each other for sure, but it seems as though like we're with the, you know, young, new generation trying to get younger people involved. Yes, they have families, but it's also the nightlife aspect of it, and that. You know, so, is there a change in the messaging? I mean, you know, I mean, it's. I guess we're all things to all people.
I mean, ideally, you'd hope everybody finds something in the Mount Washington Valley that appeals to them. I think I've definitely recognized the change to a family audience, and you've seen that evolution in ski areas as well. The people who actually are, you know, if you want to make a living at this, if you want to run a successful business, you need to appeal to the parents with the 2.4 kids on average from, you know, the Boston suburbs who are spending the most on ski lessons, on lift tickets, on, you know, on vacation packages. That's, you know, that's where most of the business has been in the last, you know, couple of decades. But that said, there's a push now to we've lost some of that ski town appeal, and I think the Berry companies and the development of the Norcross area and some of the, you know, new ownerships that have come on board of legacy businesses. You know, they're recognizing that there is a need to have personality. There is a need to appeal to that younger generation who's looking for some nightlife. You know, even you know, Revo Casino in town now, they're open late and they have live music, and there are finally some things for people to do after 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and I don't think this perspective is unique even in the ski world, because, you know, I've really historically been in tune with the Warren Miller ski films, and, you know, every fall and winter I used to make a habit of trying to go see it, or, you know, find it at home or buy it or something like that. And I remember some of the Warren Miller films that I grew up on involved like the Johnny Mosleys and like the backflips, and then it would be like the bar culture afterwards. And one of the more recent ones that I saw was Johnny Mosley in it, but with his family, and the whole idea of passing skiing down to the next generation. It's like, so really North Conway and the Mount Washington Valley being a family inclusive but all encompassing opportunity is not unique just to our area. This is definitely kind of like a worldly opportunity. Yeah.
I mean, skiing is, I mean, it's an amazing thing, and with Eric Mogensen up in Black, you know, getting a lot of press and doing great things up there. Yeah. And I mean, it's a pretty dynamic area. I know that Settlers, we have a press release where they're getting, you know, and there's a lot of industries that are tough. Retail ain't easy, right?
Yeah.
And they just landed Lululemon and the beauty shop, which I never know.
Ulta Beauty.
Ulta, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I use it, as you can see.
Yeah. You know, and those, you know, it's a tough world out there, and it just seems as though from a commercial point of view, the Valley's really doing it. I mean,
yeah, we have. I mean, I think you're seeing just a change in the guard right now to some extent. Like, we know the Seabolds are, you know, they're legends around here. Russ from resurrecting the Conway Scenic Railroad, and Dot Seabold for basically growing and building Settlers Green. You know, Laura Tuvison is doing marketing there now, and she brings a lot of energy in creating all these events, and that's a huge part of their success. You know, it's an experience. It's not just a strip plaza where you can go and go in and shop, but there's, you know, they've made it into an art destination and brought in lots of, you know, creative food.
They had tubing last weekend.
They had, exactly. They're doing things like that. You have, going back to the North Conway Village Association, you know, that was basically, as Janice, previous executive director, described it, that was basically Joe Berry of the Berry Companies, Eastern Slope Inn, Peter Edwards of Zeb's, Dick Badger of Badger Realty. They said, we want North Conway to look better and to, you know, to have a better charm. That's how the North Conway Village Association kind of came about, and the chamber managed that fund to do that. Well, all three of them now have passed away, but their their legacy is being carried on by this new generation now. So you've got Ray Booton of Zeb's, who is managing that store. He has been instrumental in so many things North Conway Village. They've been a huge supporter of this event in both cash and prizes. But he's also, like, they've helped fund the public bathrooms that we have in North Conway Village that we had this summer at the New England Ski Museum. Those were cleaned on a daily basis, basically because of Zeb's.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll speak on behalf of the North Conway Village Association. You know, Peter, Dick Badger, and Joe Barry. You know, we have a lot of new blood in the Mount Washington Valley, specifically North Conway Village, and you know, I'd like to think that what we're doing with the village and the growth with events and lights and bathrooms and anything in between, that they'd be proud of something like that. I don't think that's inappropriate to say.
Yeah.
You look at what was the former Carol Reed building, has this great legacy and was a major draw to the North Conway and the Mount Washington Valley, and that's being resurrected. I think it's taken a different shape and form, but it's making North Conway Village that destination. So Alec and the whole Berry company, there's new energy.
And the ski pole's still there.
And the ski pole, it looks better than ever.
I know. And it was Tom Eastman, who kind of resurrected that, because it was down, and he talked to Joe about it.
Yep.
And I think that's the story. At least that's the story that Tom tells.
Yeah, and the team at Cranmore did the fabrication to put it back.
They did.
Wow.
Okay, so you had that connection there. Yeah. No, it's, and you ask, not that it comes up like every conversation, but I've asked over a few years to say, hey, do you know there's a ski pole in Milltown? No.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. You got to see it.
We got to make it like 60 feet high.
You can put some lights on it.
I think it does need some Christmas lights, actually. Now that I think of that, we'll have to see if we can put an outlet on that.
That would be pretty cool, because it's it's a little 15 feet tall, whatever it is.
We could turn it into a cell phone tower.
Note everybody that the inspiration started on December 19th, that the Christmas lights would make it to the North Cross ski pole.
And it would be I think Kevin McMillan would be very grateful if you made that a cell tower. Stop the one up on Otis Falls Road. So anyway,
not stepping on that third rail.
On the right, because if we have cell tower, so what do you get? Okay, speaking of that, what do you think about? Because the whole thing about the cell tower, one of the reasons why all of us, including David Swerk and Peter and everything, we were rabid against the paid parking in North Conway Village, and and the town bought, they're great down in the town hall, but they totally botched that one because they didn't do any of their homework to see whether we actually needed it, and the reason it finally went away was that we didn't have any cell coverage, so they wanted to have parking apps with the cell. So what's your general thought of parking? And and when we were involved with being against it back then, what was obvious is that people who have paid parking, they don't do it to raise revenue; they do it to control the traffic flow.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? I mean, about having paid parking, basically.
Yeah, I have not personally put too much thought into it. I will say, when I saw the story about the cell tower, that I believe it was Ryan Shepard who said that this was not an indication that paid parking was coming to North Conway Village. So I'll hold them to that for now and keep an open mind, to be honest. Yeah.
I think the town. Go ahead, Chris. But I think the town has said that they're going to do. If they do it, they're going to do a legitimate study, not just count the cars and
I think there's more research that needs to be done, and especially on my part, to formulate a more constructive and functional opinion. My gut reaction is I don't want to do anything that makes it harder to enjoy North Conway Village. You don't want to make North Conway Village so inconvenient. And granted traffic is inconvenient, but you don't want to make something so inconvenient that it causes people to not want to stop. I think our mission should always be to make things easier where possible.
Well, let me ask it this way then. I mean, the real impetus to have paid parking would be that if you just want to keep people moving, right?
Yep.
So have you heard from the North Conway Villages that parking is an issue? I mean, I know some employees. I'm sure. I would like to think that employers are encouraging their employees not to park right in front of their store.
Yep.
I have a different perspective now, maybe than I even did 7 or 8 months ago, since Flatbread has moved, and our parking lot at the Eastern Slope Inn has been in a different situation without having a restaurant on site. And again, in a month or in a week, I'd hope that would change.
What's going in there?
27 North.
Oh, it is. They're definitely doing that.
Yeah.
And when are they going? Are they there now?
They are 95% there, but they're not quite there yet.
That's a big space.
Yeah, and it actually, the story is, I think it's the first time in 40-something years we've had breakfast at the Eastern Slope Inn, which is pretty cool. But Yeah, it's a big space and it's a big hall, but and they're really excited to get in there, and we are too.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I don't have a great perspective on parking. I mean, I've noticed it's been busy, but I can't say that it's been to the point where people are spending multiple laps around Norcross Circle trying to find a parking
Right,
spot.
and I think obviously there are the peak periods, especially the holiday periods where it's the problem is most noticeable.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do too much to solve that at the expense of the rest of the year. I know a lot of the village businesses. I mean, Settlers Green does not have paid parking, so if it's that much easier to go shopping
Yeah.
at Settlers Green, which we love Settlers Green too, but you don't want to drive people away out of the village because you're gonna lose that charm. You're gonna lose those village businesses that are already operating at margin and rely on every single customer to come through that door. You start making it more complicated and harder to enjoy those locally owned businesses. It's just, I think it's a lose-lose situation.
Well, and also not to just keep harping on the parking, but if they just do it with the app, that's trouble. And if you go to Portland, you got to download the app. I was there a couple months ago. Download the app. I couldn't get the app to work, right?
Yeah.
And then I couldn't even get the regular paid parking thing. We work with credit cards. I ended up, going through the floor of my car and getting a couple of quarters.
Yeah.
So having only apps would be a challenge.
Yeah. Personally, I like to focus more on safety right now than I would on paid parking.
What does that mean?
Well, I don't think I'm speaking out of tune when I think we've had too many pedestrian deaths in North Conway and the Mount Washington Valley when it comes to people getting hit by cars. And I think that's more of a focus that we should be putting on than paid parking right now.
How do you solve that?
I'm not going to say that there's a one-fits-all size solution. I'm not that type of.
David
I'm not a
Brooks,
politician.
you brought it up.
I mean,
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
David Brooks? I mean, he was championing those cones in the middle of the road, but I think they just kept getting run over or something.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that there should be an infinite budget for something like that, but I think having to pay for 10 of those a year in North Conway Village is worth it to, protect our people. So if it's between that, with lighted crosswalks, I think that's something that we can be working as a team on, not just the town, but North Conway Village as well.
There have been some, if you go over to Lincoln, there's some crosswalks that have flashing lights if anybody's using them, and they caught my attention. This being a state road, you'd think maybe the state would be able to install those for the safety of the pedestrians. But even in some informal meetings with chamber businesses or North Conway businesses, even that is isn't 100% like agreed, because it could change the charm of the
they're
village.
not pretty.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They ain't pretty.
But, what also another resource we have in North Conway Village is HEB Engineers, which is another team, a resource we get to use for making a decision like that and helping us come to a reasonable conclusion.
And sometimes, we've had some, tragic deaths for sure, with pedestrian and the bicycle this summer, and the guy up on Burger King Bowling Alley Hill. But there was someone who got hit in front of IME on that crosswalk in front of you guys. And sometimes you can't, it's dark, people walk out, they shouldn't. You can't legislate perfection.
I'm at Frontside maybe at least 2 or 3 times a week, and way many more times than I would have hoped. It's been a close call. Especially, yeah.
Because people aren't stopping, or because you're not looking?
Oh, I'm looking because I'm nervous every time I cross the road. But there's one specific place right in front of Synergy that has that crosswalk, and unfortunately, there's a left-hand turn lane that goes towards. You could turn a left towards Sun and Ski Sports, but also take the same left at the traffic light.
Right.
And people cruise through that to try to get to the traffic light and get a left-hand turn, even when there's a line of traffic. So you have to peek out in between cars on a line of traffic to make sure that nobody's coming into you. But there was a witness on the other side that almost saw my last day on that crosswalk. Yeah, it was 4 years ago now. But
Wow. And you can move pretty fast, I bet.
I can, and I like to think I'm paying attention.
He was a cross-country runner in high school.
Oh, well. We won't go into your times.
No, we're doing a great job here. Yeah.
So what is the basic mission, and Janice Crawford's, and she really built the chamber back in the 90s. I mean, she really did. The thing was on its face, and she built it up to hundreds and hundreds of members. And she bent some corners along the way. I mean, not everybody was happy, but that's what happens when you try to move pretty quickly. But her philosophy was, without mischaracterizing, was that the job of the chamber was to bring people here and let the businesses, organizations create the events. Now, it sounds like the chamber, obviously it's the North Conway Village Association. You're in the event business. Is there is there a fundamental? Do you see a fundamental change in the direction of the chamber by not just having the role of trying to get people here, because that's changed too, right? I mean, with the internet, people can find anywhere easily. To get into more of the event business, what do you think?
Well, with the exception of North on New Year's Eve, we have not adopted any more events post Janice Crawford days, I believe. We still have the Chili Cook-Off, which was here when she was here, the
Expo.
Business Expo, the annual meeting.
Yeah.
And those have kind of been the annual business-to-business chamber member events. I don't think there's really any
those events. The Chili Cook-Off is kind of a chamber fundraiser, but all of those events are really about collaboration. If you ask me what the chamber's #1 mission is, I think it's collaboration. Yeah. It's trying to do things as a community that we can't do on our own. The North Conway Village, even just this event, as I've explained, it's not really much of an event. It's more of a collaboration of area businesses and celebrating what they're doing individually and just putting a little context around it to help people understand it, to help people enjoy it. I think the same thing just applies for tourism in general. We're working with the ski areas and marketing heavily in Boston right now, billboards and TV and social media and everything else. We're trying to get them up here, but also we are trying to grease their experience. We're trying to make it just more enjoyable by making it easier once they get here. One of our big projects that we've got going on right now, and it looks like it won't probably manifest until 2026, we've been working on almost for a year since I started on a new member system that all of our chamber members are going to have their own login, a back end where they can do everything from job postings or access resources to data we have about area visitors to help them plan. They can manage their own events. We actually talk about AI tools. We actually are invested in an AI tool to help create an event calendar, so people don't have to update as much stuff. But the new website is also going to have a front-facing end, which promotes our businesses more. It gives people more information and access to the services that our members are offering. So yeah, because once you get up here, there is so much to do, and a lot of times people will just come up to the Mount Washington Valley. They'll say, okay, we're going to go skiing for a week, but we're going to ski 2 days, and the rest of it we're going to play by ear because there's an infinite amount to do up here, and that's part of the fun of being in the Mount Washington Valley.
Yeah, and the chamber, in earlier days was the #1 marketing organization and allowed businesses to get in front of customers and market before the businesses could do it themselves. But in 2025, I could leave this meeting, get to my laptop and get in front of 100,000 people thanks to social media, streaming TV ads, meta ads, just like that. So the businesses have that ability these days. Now the chamber is, reflecting that by being not only a marketing organization but a huge collaboration organization.
Because that suggests, that's what I'm getting at. It suggests like there's a change of role. I mean, in the old days, sending out envelopes, the local business couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So that's just an evolving process. So I guess I'm asking, what is that? Do you see any major changes in the direction of the chamber in the near future?
In terms of direct marketing, I think I just think we're always keeping an eye open into what the latest trends are. But collaboration is the #1 key, and making as much as we're not an event company, I think people do like engaging in something in a specific promotion. Obviously, the New Year's we've talked about. The other big thing coming up that we've got to get on is the 250th celebration of the Declaration of Independence, this 4th of July. So we're looking at potentially doing something and making it a valley-wide experience. We have this feels like the best place to be outside of maybe Philadelphia and Boston for 4th of July, because we've got the Presidential Range, and we've got towns like Madison and Jefferson and Freedom, and
there we go.
We
got Stock Road.
We've got there we go.
Yep. The what was I going to say? Anyway, so that's I forgot. I've lost my train of thought here.
We'll come back to you.
Yeah, we'll come back. So what else is going on? Oh, I know. Are you going to say anything? Are you going to get involved with politics? Does the chamber have a role in politics, like with the rec path?
Yep. So in politics in general, our role again is to help collaborate and facilitate. Advocacy is one of the arms of the legs of the three-legged stool that the chamber sits on. Mostly that is, I think, connecting our members to opportunities to communicate with politicians. So like we've had roundtables with
But you're not going to take stands.
Shaheen's office. It depends on
Like the rec path.
well,
I mean, that's a complicated issue. I don't mean to get into, that's very much in the weeds.
we
but-
don't
I
want
wouldn't
to
call
get
that a left-right issue. Per
left-right
se.
issue?
It's not a left-right issue.
Oh, it's not a left-right. No.
I don't think so.
I don't
we
think
don't
so.
want to
No,
get
no,
into the legalities,
Right,
of it. But we do. I will say that the chamber, was in favor of phase 2. We still are in favor of phase 2. I personally am like the biggest advocate of green space when the what do you call it?
It's going to come to you.
I know.
I'm sorry.
The
it's
bypass. There we
contagious.
go.
Yeah.
Mark and I are drinking the same water this morning.
We're not drinking the right caffeine. That's what the problem is.
When the bypass was going through, like that I felt like that gutted me. Like that was going to just gut Whitaker Woods in half.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see the benefit. We're taking people around North Conway Village, but that's one of the draws that takes them here in the first place. I just felt like it was the fishbowl scenario where the fish always grows as large as the fishbowl container is. So if you're giving more access, that just means more people. I just didn't see it as a huge solution to the problem. Yeah. Whitaker, the bypass, the rec path phase 2, on the other hand, it's a tiny sliver on the outskirts of Whitaker Woods. It was going to give people more access to this green space, make it more functional, make it, connect a greater part of our valley so we could have cyclists and pedestrians off the roads, either, commuting to work or just, recreating in a way that was safer. So the chamber itself was for that. We understand, nothing is perfect, and we understand the concerns of everybody involved. But
Now, I remember what I was going to say. You went to the ski show? Somebody went to the ski show in Boston. Wasn't there one recently?
Yeah.
Okay, did you go?
We did not go. We had all of our members were going individually, our ski area members, and
So what are
Bennett,
where I'm
our
getting
PR
at is what are the
person.
trends? I mean, I was reading that in Killington they have a $5 billion plan. Have you read about that? Like it's over
briefly.
25 years, $5 billion.
Yeah.
No kidding.
They're going to build. This is going to be like a Cranmore village, but like the big Western, Tremont Blanc type of villages. I mean, what's your sense of where the ski? What's your sense of what the ski season is going to be this winter? I mean, the economy's up and down depending who you are, in a trend of it.
Yeah,
I mean, people are investing a lot into skiing. I mean, Eric Mogensen, as he's revitalizing Black. Cranmore's putting it. Everybody puts a ton of money every year into their infrastructure.
Yeah.
I'll give Janice Crawford her flowers here and say that the Mount Washington Valley is pretty, economy proof. We're the alternative to going out west and doing that big west ski trip because we're all accessible to a huge market in Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut. So, in terms of if I think that with the way the economy is, if that's going to be a deterrent to seeing visitation this winter, I'm not so sure that's the case. In the past, we've seen some of our down economy years have been pretty strong years in the Mount Washington Valley, to be honest.
It is. Killington probably needs to do something like that because if there's a rainy year or a year with no snow, a destination like Killington is ignored. Mount Washington Valley, as long as people still want to get away from their jobs for a week in Boston, there's always going to be something to do up in Mount Washington Valley, even if the skiing isn't great. But you have 7 ski areas within a 35-minute drive, so you have options if Wildcat's skiing well, but others aren't, or something like that. In terms of the general trajectory of the industry, I think I'm not sure if they have a grasp on that either. I think it's constantly changing, and you factor in things like the winters. There was just a study done. I forget who put it out, but the New England region in general is like one of the hardest hit regions of the country, the hardest hit region of the country for climate change. Our temperature has warmed on average 4 degrees Fahrenheit in the last 100 years. The number of snow days in New England has dropped, and that's a compounding effect because the fewer snow days you have, the warmer it gets because there's less snowpack to reflect radiation from the sun, all that kind of stuff. So it
is kind of spy versus spy though, because as we get shorter or less cold, the mountains get better at making snow. Yeah. I'm not saying that's going to, if they can make it so when it's 45 degrees, maybe we don't have to worry about it. Well, and what percentage of how big is the winter business? I mean, I think summer business is the biggest by far, right? Because every day is a weekend in the summer. And the fall, surprisingly, is huge. I mean, with our magazines, we can tell where they go. I mean, what days they go. And man, those 3 or 4 or 5 weeks in the fall are as big as August and July and August now that we see. And winter, of course, is the whole winter.
Yeah, month of October is actually the strongest month for guest visitation at the Eastern Slope than any month out of the year, which I was surprised to find about a month ago when I did the data.
Wow.
Yeah, we get more guest visits in the month of October than we do in the month of August at the Eastern Slope.
And you get a different clientele.
Yeah.
I mean, they tend to be retirees and people that have kids.
And internationals. Like we have obviously great summers and great winters here, attractions year round, but this is the place where we're a bucket list item for people. If you want to see, New England fall foliage is famous around the country, and probably the best New England fall foliage is in the White Mountains and the Kancamagus Highway with North Conway right there and Mount Washington. So while people come here to ski, they're probably not going to come as much from Europe or the West to come, check out our ski areas. And although we have great summer attractions, there's lots of great camping spots and outdoor areas around the country. But when you get to fall foliage, this is a bucket list item.
Yeah, it's like think this conversation through. We've been talking about this being the #1 ski area, or ski town in America. We have an amazing foliage destination. We've been annually rated as one of the top 5 places to be for foliage. And then we have an amazing summer where every day is like a weekend.
Yeah.
And we have attractions like Storyland and Santa's Village that are fun, amazing family opportunities. And I can speak from a dad who's planning a Disney vacation soon. A lot more cost effective at those places than at Disney. So it's just amazing where we're at.
You go to any ski town and you try to get a burger somewhere or something, you're spending $30 for a burger and a drink, and you could still find deals in the Mount Washington Valley. This is still a family-friendly place to go to ski in terms of cost and budget.
And I respect that people feel like that is that the visitors are the number one focus of either the chamber or the area, and I'm not saying that we're not putting a focus on them, but we live in an amazing place, and sometimes you have to you accept norms that you wouldn't accept if you lived in places like, I don't know, Leominster, Massachusetts or something like that. And the norm is that we have this beautiful place that other people want to get to as well.
Tourism was always like the #1 industry in this area. I don't know if logging ever surpassed it for a brief moment in time, but I don't even think that. I mean, we had Benjamin Champney in the White Mountain School of Art up here painting beautiful portraits of the valley. You would find those on mantles at Harvard professors and everywhere else around the country. And that was the social media of the day back then. And I'm sure there were people, back then saying, "Oh, there's too many people coming up, past my sheep farm or something." But tourism has always been, the catalyst for business up here.
I've said that I'm like the only person that really likes the hotel up here, the Indigo Hotel. And I remind people that was a big giant hotel there. I mean, before the motel, Candles Motel, but back in the 1800s, it was whatever the name of it, I forget now, but it was one of the big hotels in Bern. But anyway, we got 2 minutes to go, so we want to do this. But first, Chris, maybe just in a minute, just wrap up the whole North Conway event.
North Conway, the North Conway's New Year's Night Out. It is happening obviously on December 31st. It's an all-day event. Just basically, we're encouraging everybody to go explore all the village businesses. There will be something for everyone from late night dancing and partying to kids activities. Fireworks at 9 p.m. If you want an early fireworks show, you can go to Cranmore as well. They have a fireworks show at 6:30. And the fun thing about it is we've got prize posters at each participating business. So as you're enjoying all these different activities and discovering why it's North America's #1 ski town, you can scan the prize poster and get an entry into a prize drawing. So the more posters you find, the more businesses you visit, the more entries you get. 8:30 p.m. Come to North Conway Community Center. You don't have to be there to win. If you want to, if you have to leave early for some reason, you can do that. We'll mail you your prize, but we're going to draw prizes. It's going to be festive, fun, and then it caps off at 9 p.m. with the big fireworks show. And one of the other big events is the Conway Scenic Railroad's inaugural New Year's train. So you can
disco train.
I'm calling it a disco train. Okay. I don't think that's what they're calling it.
Can you bring these on the disco? And what are these?
So these are, I'm calling them the North Conway's Night Out Nubby Noobers. but we have 200 of these glow sticks. We're going to hand them out to kids and maybe some deserving parents in the park, and we're going to wave these around as the fireworks go off.
Okay, so we're going to show everybody. So Chris and Paul, it's been a pleasure, and take care. Have a happy holidays.
You too, and thank you for having us. 3 different settings. Look at that.
Wow, I got the pretty cool.
This is what North Conway Village is going to look like December 31st.
All right, okay, Rob. So we're done. Okay, 5 seconds. There we go.